Hi, this is Tom Vail. As a sales associate with Perot Systems here in Denver, I was able to establish contact and make an appointment with the CFO from Superstar Corporation. His name is Scott Starr. He's one of the family members. What I've told Scott was basically to get my foot in the door through a letter campaign. I thought we had an investment differentiator that would be of great interest to him as a CFO, and he bought it, and his secretary put me on his calendar. So here we are. I'm with Scott. We're at lunch at the table, and we're about to do a percent of budget presentation. Hey, Scott.
Tom.
Thanks for having lunch with me today, man.
Absolutely. That's a great haircut.
Well, thank you.
That is a great hair.
My barber just got done with me here about an hour ago.
It's almost like mine. It's almost like you did that just for me.
Right.
Just this meeting?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. Thank you.
I feel that mimicking my client
Yeah.
is a sure way to sign a contract right then and there. Are you ready?
You could be right.
Scott, thanks for seeing me today. And
Sure.
as I mentioned in my letter that we talked about briefly over the phone, Superstar Incorporated, the manufacturing company of widgets that you are, and one of the better ones I understand in your industry, it fits pretty nicely into the Perot Systems niche. We have a very strong manufacturing industry, sales industry that has done some real good things with other companies similar to yours. And what I wanted to talk to you about was that investment differentiator that we talked about very briefly over the phone. So if you're okay with that, I'd like to just begin by telling you just a little bit about Perot Systems here in Denver and across the United States. And what I have here, Scott, I made a presentation just for you, as you can see, Superstar Incorporated. What I've done here is, in the triangle you see basically the three business categories or core champion. It was a part of the organization that we expanded to in early '97. Excuse me, Scott, this is Ross Perot. Yes, Mr. Perot. No, sir, he's not signed yet, but give me about 10 minutes. Thank you, sir.
Do you always leave your cell phone on during client meetings?
It's very unusual that my cell phone was on, Scott, so I apologize for that. Normally I take it and throw it in the car. But in the business integration process, we do business strategy, we do IT strategy, we do business process reengineering and business process redesign. And again, as I had mentioned, that's a part of the organization that's led by Jim Champy. I'm not sure if you've heard of him, but he's sort of the godfather, guru of this particular process in general. We also do systems integration, which includes our applications development practices. In systems integration, we've got practices such as J.D. Edwards, an ERP practice. We do ESM technologies, primarily with Tivoli, and we do network services across the broad base of network situations that we encounter. Not sure what type of services that your organization would need, but that's something that we've done.
Okay.
And in the bottom here, this was the crux of probably where we started in infrastructure services, and that's primarily our services that cover all the outsourcing agreements that we have, whether it's help desk or data center management. We do all that.
Great.
And again, this kind of defines all of the different core competencies that we talked about in the triangle for Perot Systems without going into great detail for all of them. It's a lot, huh?
I have no idea what half that means. One half.
Well, you're a CFO. That's why I call on you, Scott.
Okay.
In any case, what I want to talk about now is this what I think is the value differentiator that we offer versus probably what you've seen from other organizations. I think it's fair to say, and you correct me if I'm wrong, if this doesn't fit your picture, but from an IT spend perspective, most organizations break down IT spend in two different categories. You've got what you've budgeted to maintain your infrastructure, and all of these particular areas probably are a part of that. And then you've also got a more strategic and more tactical part of your budget for project spending, right? And that's something that's typically planned I don't know where you are with these particular indices, but I know a lot of our clients are moving towards an e-business strategy. Does that sound like something that Superstar Incorporated is looking at for the year 2000?
Sure. Yep. Those numbers look just about right.
Okay. As you move further then, and you get beyond the budgeted infrastructure, you've got the challenges that are associated with implementing both primarily the project side of that,
Okay.
right? And what we've seen and what Gartner reports is that fragmented spending yields inconsistent results. I'm not sure what you look like. I know you use, based on some of the conversations I've had with some of your IT folks, that you use about a half a dozen systems integration companies. Does that sound?
Yeah, IBM and
IBM's in your shop?
absolutely, and EDS are the two primary, but yeah, you're right.
But you've got some smaller boutique firms, I assume, that, okay, great. That's what we see, and oftentimes what we see and what Gartner reports is that fragmented spending using both the boutique firms and the large systems integration firms, as well as just staffing augmentation firms to support the staffing for these projects, oftentimes yields inconsistent results, and in many cases, up to 70% of the projects, according to Gartner, fail.
Okay.
Do you have a feel for projects that you've done in the past? What percent
No,
have realistically been implemented and had some
No.
impact on your company?
No, you can talk to my CIO more about that. I'm not sure. I just run the numbers.
Okay. In any case, your secretary is
Stand up your
motioning
chart.
to you.
Stand up your chart a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
In any case, yeah, I'll do that for you so you can get a good picture of it.
Otherwise, you show them blank pages.
Typically, the way we look at most IT infrastructures by the clients that we have and what our potential clients tell us is they budget from an investment point of view.
Okay.
Does that sound similar to the way your company
Yeah, it sure
organizes
is.
its budget?
Yeah.
In the top 5%, the researching emerging technologies is typically going to put you in a position where you've enabled your widgets from Superstar Incorporated. You're going to give brand awareness to those widgets. You're going to add high value and high return, and assuming that high return is important, and I assume it is.
Sure.
And things like implementing integrated supply chain will give you a lead versus follow approach in your particular industry. Of course, the developing the enabling technologies is the whole goal there is it keeps you up with the Joneses, so to speak, with the competition, and it also involves some return on your business growth and investment. And of course, the bottom one speaks for itself. You have to maintain what you have.
Sure.
So, as you look at those top two portions of the triangle, or the pyramid as we call it,
Okay.
these top two really play in the role of what I'm talking about. Perot Systems plays in the top piece of this pyramid, and it matches well with the services that we offer. But what we find that most of our clients and potential clients are faced with is a whole lot of market activity, a whole lot of companies vying for those services. You currently use about 6, you named 2 specifically, right?
Yep.
I have to assume that there are other companies constantly vying for your services that perhaps can supply network services in a little greater detail than, perhaps EDS or IBM. So you take a good hard look at them. And then your decision criteria, and how do you make decisions on that, incidentally? On how to augment your project spending, how to staff it.
They come with a recommendation, and I try to use the cheapest one.
All right, so you're cost conscious. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
So cost is certainly an important part of it. Where it says price, that's what we've identified. We've identified that most, say, CIOs, perhaps you're not as interested in this, but your CIO certainly is concerned about the experience level, right? The skills that they bring to the table, how much experience. and the methodology that's deployed, make sure that it coincides with the methodologies that you use as an organization.
Okay.
Is that something you'd agree on?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Who makes the final decision on bringing those folks in?
It's a committee decision.
Is it?
Yeah.
So you have like a governance body of
Yes.
sorts? Okay.
We have a steering committee.
Okay, and they report up to,
Report ultimately to the president, CEO.
okay. In any case, and that's what we typically see, or in your case, you, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
The investment differentiator that I'm trying to get to here, Scott,
Okay.
is that by using a firm like Perot, and we talked about what, where our strengths are, the research in emerging technologies, the developing enabling technologies. This is the field that we play in, and this is the field that where the fragmented spending occurs.
Okay.
We feel that by using a company like Perot to project manage these types of technologies and integrate them into your organization, we're going to provide you, right up front, analysis implementation. What does that mean? Well, that means that a part of your governance body, right, is analyzing whether or not there's going to be ROI in this particular investment.
Okay.
And ROI would probably be pretty important.
Sure.
As an outside organization, Perot Systems, one of the things that we're going to bring to the table as far as being the part of that analyzing team is we're going to bring some outside experience that perhaps internally your governance body doesn't have. We're also going to make a commitment to learn your business. And one of the problems with fragmented spending is you've got resources coming in and out, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't take the time to learn your business. There's the turnover problem. There's the problem with when you use them for projects, a group of people for this project, you get another group of people for this project. Using Perot Systems as a part of your investment and allowing us to do some of this analyzing is going to be able to, A, provide you with stability and resources.
Okay.
B, it's going to be able to provide some business continuity because we're going to learn a little bit about your business.
Okay.
We're going to know it real well. That's our role. And finally, you want to finish your projects on time and on budget. And that's something that we think we can bring to the table.
Okay.
Any
So,
questions so far?
Yeah. You want to come in and take over my project office?
We want to come in and be a part of your project office. Don't necessarily say that we'd want to take it over, but if you want to turn it over to me, I'd be very happy to discuss that.
Okay. That's an interesting point.
Okay.
What? So to come in, do I pay for that? Do I pay for you to come in and be part of my project office?
That's the whole concept behind here. You had mentioned that price was a very important part of, this process in bringing in outside vendors to do, these projects, these
Yeah.
strategic and tactical projects that we've talked about, right?
Mhm.
Well, one of the things that we think differentiates us from a pricing perspective is that we can trade, okay? We can trade, see if I can write backwards, Scott. I'm not, being an old truck driver, it's real tough for me to do. We can trade the cost or the dollars associated with our services for what we call, that's an upside down use, Scott,
All right.
duration. Meaning that if we were to agree to, say, 24 months to 36 months of project activity within your organization, keeping in mind that we're in there to learn your business, right?
Mhm.
We want to know what your business is all about. We want to provide that continuity that we talked about that you lose with the fragmented spending, right? And also our goal is to complete projects on time and on budget.
Okay.
If we can come in with a 2 to 3 year agreement, we can reduce our cost to you considerably. Okay. The other cost that's maybe not hard dollars but soft dollars that I think is important that a lot of companies kind of overlook is that we're not in this to do every project that your governance body looks at. And I'm sure they look at hundreds. maybe not that many, but they look at quite a few projects over the course of a year. Does that sound reasonable?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, well, one of our goals is, as we know your business, is to evaluate which projects make business sense within Superstar Industries. I mean, your widgets, people buy your widgets because of the quality, because of the way you go to market. And, that one of our goals is to understand your business to that degree, not just to be a project company, but to understand what it is, what sells your product.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, the concept makes sense.
Okay. Now, let's talk about why would you use Perot.
Okay.
My feeling is you're probably because you like me, you're going to want to sign right now for a long-term agreement. Does that sound reasonable?
Sure.
You like him a whole lot based on what you just met him?
Right. Well, my feeling is that in order for this and for you to understand, Superstar Industries to understand the value that we can bring to the table, why not take a look at us from a project perspective? And let's talk about maybe a project that's currently on your plate that we could do to show you the capabilities that we have here in Denver. Okay?
Okay.
In fact, I've got a project in mind if you'd be willing to take a look at it for a quick second.
Okay.
I want to talk to you a little bit about your purchasing organization. Boy, I just went to town making you all these charts.
Yes, you did.
And we have found kind of by accident, because we did this to ourselves, we found that, thank you. I got to be able to see this too, though, because
Just an old truck driver?
Just an old truck driver. We have found that by taking a look at what we call, and you may term it a little different in your finance organization, but our indirect material spend was a real source of problem for us. So we hired some pretty smart folks from organizations that have spent probably 100 times greater than ours. They came to our organization, became a part of the procurement function, and took a good hard look at that particular function for us, and created an application, if you will, to help us identify areas in our own indirect material spend where we could save a lot of money. And I'll go through an example of that as we move forward. But then we went to a particular client, and we found by approaching the client with this new concept that they were very interested too. So we said fine. And we actually did what we did to ourselves to the client. We just made one big mistake. Are you interested in the mistake?
I don't know, am I?
Yeah, well, I know you are, Scott. So the mistake we made, Scott, was that we didn't know what to charge them, in more words or less. We thought, well, it was easy for us to, not easy, but it was within 30 days, we were capable of identifying about $10 million in indirect spend that they could fix and get rid of, right? So the client was very happy when we only billed them a few $1,000s for the whole project. And without quoting the cost to you, I'm not quite sure what it was, but it was nothing significant compared to what they saved. So we realized by stumbling into this opportunity that this was a pretty hot topic, and I think that in your organization, because you match pretty closely from a manufacturing perspective to them, that we might be able to do some of those same things for you. Is the indirect side of your procurement spend of interest to you?
Sure.
Have you thought about that for your year 2000?
No, I haven't, Tom.
You haven't, but thanks for listening anyway. This particular overhead here, Scott, is designed to give you the concept of the 80-20 rule, which is 80% of your effort, I won't say cost, I'll say effort, is spent on 25% of the money. Okay, 20 to 25% of the money. And that for your particular organization is probably real accurate.
Okay.
So what does that mean? Well, our process is simple. You give us, in a properly formatted file, if you will, a list of your corporate AP files. And the way we approach this particular IMO or indirect material offering is we take it off-site. It's non-intrusive, and we'll take it back to our, our delivery organization and have them, the IMO folks, put it through their black box, so to speak, the application that they've